All right, now we're recording so we can officially start. So, welcome to Wapiti Wednesday live Q&A for February 12th. So, we were actually just talking to Mr. Larry about his successful Oklahoma cow hunt, and he was just telling us that that is the hardest hunt that he's probably ever done. And that, Larry, you were saying you didn't punch your tag because of your tremendous skill level. You punched your tag
Because God sent me an elk in the last 20 minutes of shooting light on the last day.
well, that's how they go sometimes. I know you always hear those people. It's like don't pass on the first day what you would shoot on the last day. Well,
Yeah,
what if the shot on the last day is the only shot that you had for those whole entire days? So
yeah.
And
so you
get to
you
shooting.
yeah, so you passed nothing on the first day to to fill on the last day, but that's
Pass, pass. I didn't see a cow until the last day. I
that's
saw two bulls that I didn't have a tag for. 150 bison, 100 longhorn steers, 6 whitetail, and no cows till the last day.
that's crazy. And yeah, it's late season hunts. They can be tough. I know here in Idaho we have a late season archery hunt for mule deer, and if you don't have weather, it can be an extremely difficult hunt. But if you have weather, you'll see 300 head of deer a day. So
Oh my!
yeah,
If you have bad weather.
oh, you
Wow.
want you want snow and horrible conditions that yeah pushes them down. And I haven't done the hunt in years, just because I had a little sliver of land that was BLM that went right between some private that accessed a bunch of public ground back, and last time I was out there, all those private property owners switched to access yes, and so I hiked back to the rocks where I normally go, and there wasn't too many deer back there running around. They had been they had been pushed quite a bit. So, but
Yeah, yeah.
all right. So tonight, I was really thinking about what to do tonight, and after yesterday's events, I kind of altered, what was going to do tonight. I was gonna continue down the biological series of the elk, but um, a mentor of mine and a pioneer in the elk calling world passed away yesterday. Wayne Carlton was, I mean, he was one of the pioneers and one of the founders of modern day elk calling. And so what I want to do tonight is we're going to dive into the location bugle a little bit, and then I want to kind of end the session with kind of doing a tribute to Wayne. So if any stories have to share or anything like that. So to start, we'll go into the location bugle. So I think this is one of the things that we're going to sprinkle throughout the year too. Is pick a specific sound and just really drill down into it a little bit more. So really, the true purpose and power of a location bugle is just that, to locate elk. It's a non-threatening, just very relaxed call that's basically just shouting, "Hey, where are you? Where's everybody at?" And we'll get into kind of some common mistakes that people make with it, but the reason it's a powerful call is because you can you can generally most of the times of the year get a response from it. And it may not be much of a response. It may just be a little, ooh, just a little tiny whine or something, but the nice thing about it too is it's not only just bulls that respond to it. You can get cows to respond to the location bugle as well. Again, it's a non-threatening call that's just done very, very relaxed. So, and it can be done in, they'll do location bugles in all different manners. I mean, it could just be a single note, it could be a two note, could be a three note, could be a two note pause up to a higher note and then a wave into back down into a middle note. And it's just, it's never the same thing. And I keep wanting to go into one of the hunter's mistakes, so but we'll save it. So how to effectively use this call is, the best way to think of it is just like you're fishing a river or a pond or a lake. You're constantly casting, looking for those fish. And that's basically what a location bugle is. You're basically casting out there, trying to get an elk to respond, just like trying to get a fish to hit. And the thing that you need to do is, just like in fishing, where you change what you're using, you change to a different color spinner or a different type of spinner, or change from a worm to an egg or whatever. Same thing with the location bugle. You need to change. If you're just doing the same thing and not getting a response, try it different. Like if your go-to is a 3-note location bugle, just go to a 1-note. Just that long high note. Just try something different. The other thing too, try a different reed on that location bugle. I remember one time was sitting up on this little, looking down on this little basin, and I had been sitting there just kind of doing a little routine, just trying to get something to respond, and nothing. And the guys I was with, they were about ready to start hiking out, and I said, "Wait a minute, let me try one more thing." And I grabbed a different reed, and it just had a little different pitch. And as soon as I switched to that different reed, bam, got a response. So, and then about 10 minutes later, I had that bull on our side of the basin. Okay, common mistakes hunters make with the location bugle. They just get stuck doing the same location bugle every time. They have no variations of it. They have no ability to ramp up into more urgency. No ability to change frequencies a little bit. It's just the same thing. It's same robotic. And if you ever really sit there and listen to bulls, you could have a bull that is following those groups of cows, and he's location bugle as he's moving, but you'll notice too, he'll change the way he does the location bugle as he moves around, because he's trying different things. Oh, I haven't gotten a response, Man, I know there's elk around here somewhere. So he changes how he does that location bugle a little bit. Another common mistake is, and I have this one a lot, I've talked to a lot of people that they're like, man, every time I try to locate bulls with a locate bugle, they just shut up and go the other way. And if they have calls with them, I will ask them to demonstrate. Majority of the time, they're not doing a location bugle. They're doing a full-blown challenge bugle. And I'm like, well, it's no wonder. You're not saying, hey, you're basically shouting profanity across the mountainside and telling that bull what you think of him. So it's easy to do, to think you're doing location, but really you get more into that challenge, because everybody wants to get that max volume, that max pressure, and that just ramps up really quick into that really, really high note, and they're like, man, I'm going to put this really deep growl at the end of it, and I'm going to sound like the dominant bull. And it's like, when you're locating, you don't want to sound dominant. You don't even know what's around. You don't even know what's there. So just stay nice and relaxed on it. And that's where a lighter reed comes into advantage, because we're going to slide right into advanced calling techniques on this. With a lighter reed, you can actually move it in different places in the roof of your mouth and slide your tongue forward and back. And if you can actually slide your tongue back so you're out more on the tip, and you can actually roll that tongue. It takes some practice to it, but you end up kind of getting this hear how that kind of went up and rolled over and then kind of came back up again. That's just from rolling your tongue a little bit on that. Jim's sitting there looking, going,
No, I'm thinking.
yeah, I know.
I was thinking if you can't do that, you just can't bring yourself to do it. Put your hand over the end of the tube and muffle it some.
Yeah, you can, and that plays with the volume. So the rolling of the tongue just kind of gets that roll to the bugle. And that's where that advance is play with different things, and in the finish on these things, have a new toy.
Yeah, you do.
Remember that aluminum one? They sent me one made. They sent me one made out of carbon fiber, and they listened.
Oh.
They listened to me about building back pressure, but your finish. It doesn't have a big finish on it. It just you don't want to drop into that deep big growl. So this thing really has no oomph to it.
It's,
What's that?
I was just wondering how much that one was. The other one was, like,
you know what's funny? Everybody's coming out. The new tube for this year, everybody is making tubes out of carbon fiber.
Okay.
Phelps just launched 2 new carbon fiber tubes. Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls launched a carbon fiber tube. They're all in that $250 range.
What I figured.
Yeah, a guy reached out to me last week, Wapiti Whisperer, I think. So he came out with a new tube this year that he wants to send me one to play with. It's made out of cedar. It's a wooden tube. He's selling these for $250. But he's somebody I can get behind because he's battling stage 4 cancer right now, and he developed this tube to sell to help raise money for him to fight the cancer. So just started talking to him. Beautiful tube. That cedar is gorgeous, and it's laser engraved with his logo, and yeah. Anyways, so but it's along the style of this. It's a megaphone. That's all it is. It doesn't have that chamber that really lets things roll around. So, all right. So that's kind of it on Location Bugle. As far as the advanced techniques, play with different things. Go listen to bulls. You guys know what a Location Bugle sounds like, but just go listen to them and just mimic them. Practice and play. And listen to when you're out on your hunts. Listen to different Location Bugles. I shared a video last week on my TikTok page. It's pretty funny. This bull comes out of this lake from swimming, and he leans back, and during his bugle he shakes to shake the water off, and all of a sudden his bugle just gets this shakiness to it. And I was sitting there listening to it, and my wife dared me to try to mimic that. And I'm like, I can't, I can't shake my skin the way he does. So
Yeah, no.
it's not going to work. So, all right. Okay. Tribute time. So, Wayne Carlton. So, when I got into the calling industry, when I started working with call companies over 20 years ago, the first event that I went to was down in Oregon, and this was when I had just joined bugling bull game calls, Rocky Jacobson, which is now Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. Um, we went down to Salem, Oregon, and we pull in for this event. It's out in the parking lot of the Sportsman's Warehouse in Salem, Oregon. And we go over to set up the booth, and we walk past the first booth, and here's Al Morris and Dan Whitmus. You know, had seen these guys on stage in the World Elk Calling Championships, and well, then here's Jim Horn with Primos and his wife Ann, and then we get to our booth, and then next to us is Wayne Carlton and his wife Linda. And next to Wayne was Larry D. Jones. And next to Larry D. Jones was Ralph Moline, who was Abe and Sons. And so I'm sitting here gawking at all these guys that I've watched on VHS tapes and heard on cassette tapes, and really listened when I was trying to figure all this elk calling stuff out. And man, that first night we go to dinner, and I'm sitting right across from Wayne, and I have Rocky on one side of me and Jim Horn on the other, and man, here's all these elk calling legends at the table, and here I'm brand new into this industry, and I really didn't say a whole lot at that table that night because I was smart enough to realize what I was surrounded by and not say anything. So then a few years go by, and I'm still with Rocky, and Wayne came out with this camo pattern that looked exactly like pine trees. And so I called Wayne and started talking to him about being a pro staff member for him for the camo. And now Wayne was raised in Mississippi, so he kind of has that little drawl a little bit. And he's basically like, he goes, Michael, he goes, you might want to call Rocky and see if he is okay with you pro staffing for me on the camo side of things. I understand you're with him on the calls. So little did I know that there was a lawsuit going on at the time. You had Rocky and Will Primos on one side and Wayne Carlton on the other side, because Wayne and HS, Carlton Calls and HS, developed a domed reed that actually was a patent infringement, and Rocky and Will sued Wayne, which I didn't know about. And here I'm calling Wayne, talking to him about being a pro staffer for him, and I'm already a pro staffer for Rocky. And well, before Rocky, I was with Will, and I'm like, man, I'm just banging the bell good on this one.
Wow.
So, needless to say, I did not join his pro staff, but there was still a friendship. There was still a camaraderie. I mean, we would go to sport shows, and I was really good friends with J.R. Keller and Dan and Al and all the HS boys. Same thing with Wayne. So Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, getting to spend time with those guys and talk to them, and Wayne is a storyteller. And in fact, Corey Jacobson posted a tribute to Wayne last night that said, every time you saw Wayne at a sports show, he would always have an elk story for you, or two, or three. So, but that's just how Wayne was. And so after I resigned from Rocky and really started Elk Calling Academy, and I decided with Elk Calling Academy that I didn't want to be brand specific. I wanted to really be able to offer everybody different options when it came to calls. Just didn't want to pigeon into anything, and that's when I really started. So Wayne had separated from HS, and Wayne and his son Mark started Native by Carlton to just kind of establish their own brand. And that's when I started kind of working with those guys on developing reads and giving feedback. And it was really cool because about 6 years ago, so Wayne had been battling Parkinson's and dementia. And about 6 years ago, he did kind of a farewell tour, which was his last tour of sport shows and seminars. And the last 3 years before this, really got to spend time in booths with him, in the Native by Carlton booth. But that last year, that farewell tour, I was really, really blessed to be able to do 4 seminars with Wayne. We did seminars in Oregon and in Wyoming, and we actually went to Etna, Wyoming, and we did a 2-day elk class where we hit a bunch of things. But one of the greatest stories that I love that Wayne tells is, so Wayne was one of the first ones to really start calling elk on a turkey diaphragm. So the fact that he was a Southern boy, he grew up hunting turkeys and hogs and raccoons, and so. But one of my favorite stories of Wayne was when he really decided to figure out how diaphragms work. He went into the local hospital there in Colorado and asked if he could go into the x-ray machine and have them take an x-ray of him with a diaphragm reed in his mouth. Now imagine, this is, we're talking mid to late 80s here. So imagine him walking into a hospital and asking them to take an x-ray of me with a diaphragm reed in my mouth. So, and at first, when he brought it up, they just looked at him like he was crazy. And he finally pulled the diaphragm reed out of his pocket and said, I want to stick this in my mouth and have you take a picture. So he did it. He got in there, and then they took 2 x-rays at different angles, just, seeing how that reed sits in his mouth. But just, it's always, that was always one of the greatest stories that I loved listening to him tell, because it really, that was the start of modern elk calling. I mean, him and Rocky and Larry and Ralph and even Dan Kohler with Deep Timber Sounds, and Will. So, but Wayne was definitely a storyteller, and he would also tell a story about, he had a big old coon on his property. That this coon was big and mean, and he was talking about going on a coon hunt one night, and his dog got tangled up with that old nasty coon. And Wayne just said in the dark, all you can just hear is this. I mean, he can do the sounds with his voice of just this gnarly coon and this dog fighting. And he does it with so much conviction that you're laughing at the story, but hanging on every word in the story at the same time. But that guy on a diaphragm reed, I mean, he could meow like a cat. He could cackle like a goose. I mean, turkey, elk. It's amazing the sounds that man could do on a diaphragm. So, have either of you ever met Wayne in person?
No, I haven't. I've only watched videos of him years ago. And like you said, he made sounds and he did it so effortlessly. It was like it was a natural, just like extension of him to do that.
Yeah.
But I could see where he could tell some stories because he was telling some stuff in the video. I don't remember which one it was or how long ago. It was years ago.
Have
But I
you
could tell that he was that way.
have you seen the video where he called in that bull and he's hiding behind the tree and he has to throw his hat at the bull to try to get it to leave him alone?
No.
He's hiding behind this tree, and this bull, I mean, its nostrils are flared, and he's like, "Get out of here, get out of here!" And he takes his hat off, and he's waving his hat, and he ends up throwing his hat, and on the video he talks about that he was afraid that the bull was actually going to run off with his hat, and that was his favorite hat, and when we were doing that 2 day class, um, somebody in the crowd pointed across the valley at kind of this draw and was like, "How would you guys hunt that?" And Wayne goes, "Michael, you go ahead, you go first." And I said, "Well," I said, "I'm a firm believer of hunt up, pack down." I said, "So I'm going to start down here and I'm going to hit this spine ridge and I'm going to locate up, and I want to be up into this patch of timber about the time thermals change, and because I imagine that's going to be the bedding area, and that's where I'm going to work that bull, and I'm going to kill him, and then I'll probably just come out on that same path." And Wayne looks at me and he goes, "Huh. Well, by the time you gain all that elevation and work up there, I'm going to be sitting on the dead bull because I started up top and I was smart and I let those bulls work their way to me instead of me chasing up the hill after them. And so I'll be sitting on a dead bull by the time your tired butt gets up there, but that's okay because then you can help me break him down and you can take your half down the mountain while I take my half up to the mules and I ride the mules back out." So, but that that conversation with him really really made me think, and that adjusted the way I hunted a little bit because I was always start low, work high. But after that conversation, and he and I talked quite a bit more about that when we were done, and it made sense to me, and that's where you guys have heard me talk about gain elevation. You know where they're coming up, be off to the side. Then you're not having to chase them up and worry about thermals changing or this or that. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking again.
You can't chase elk uphill.
No, you can't.
Yeah, they got four-leg drive and they just see you.
Well, and how many times do they get up to the top and they hit a saddle and they cross the ridge and then they drop on the backside to bed, and then by the time you get up there on the ridge, you don't know where they went.
Mm.
But if you're already up there, then when they get up there and they cross that saddle, so the other thing too is if you ever notice the tube that Wayne always used, he never used these big wiffle ball bat styles. He used about that inch and a quarter, inch and a half diameter. That sometimes it was just a straight, but sometimes he had that little flared bell on the end. But that's all he ever used. He never really got into the big deep rumbling sounds. In fact, it was Mark the one that really started on the new, on going to the wiffle ball bat style. So, but that's because Mark competed in the world championships. Wayne never competed, so his take on it always was, "I'll do it out in the woods with the actual judges that truly matter."
My first tube was a Carlton traditional tube, and I have two of them. In case I lost one, I got another one.
Yeah.
I still have them.
Yep. Yeah. He never did anything fancy. He always kept it simple, but he just knew what to say and when to say it. and that was it. Never overcomplicated. Just recognize the situation, and this is all I'm going to give you. Never tried to make it too fancy or anything. Huh. Incredible band. Very thankful for the time, and in fact, Jim Horn actually passed away 3 months ago. So two of the legends. So I mean, Jim really wasn't in that caliber with Wayne and Larry D. Jones and those guys. I mean, Jim was just the Western promotions manager for Primos. So, but he was a well-known name in the hunting industry and in the elk woods. So, but yeah, the forefathers. I mean, it's Larry and Ralph and Wayne and Rocky and Corey, and if you guys haven't watched it. Corey Jacobson did a video a few years back called The Linguist. And he basically went and sat down with Rocky and Wayne and Will and Larry D. Jones and basically talked to them about, the early days of elk calling and how things developed and came about. And each of them kind of told their stories about, how they got started. So if you've never watched The Linguist, I really strongly encourage you to go watch that, especially if you're interested to know about the history of elk calling and how things really advanced. It's a great
It's
video.
called the Linguist on YouTube.
The Linguist on YouTube. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
On Elk 101. So.
Okay.
So yeah, so I don't know what I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Mark's still going to run with Native by Carlton. So I did hear from him today. I just sent him a message and gave my condolences and let him know, sending prayers his way. And Mark just said thanks, really appreciated that. And so we'll kind of let the dust settle and then circle around on what the plan is. So what Mark's going to do. So, but yeah, some of those original Carlton calls, Larry, that go with that tube that you had, the super blue and the triple brown, and man, those were some heavy tight reeds to blow on. Talking about on those. So all right, guys. Well, that's all I got for you. Any questions?
Thanks for your tribute to Wayne. It's very special.
Yeah,
He was a special guy.
He really was. He really was. He influenced so many people. In fact, Corey in his tribute post, he commented that there's probably not an elk hunter around today that doesn't know who Wayne Carlton is. So, I mean, he influenced so many people. I mean, Steve Chappell
Mm.
watched a lot of, or not watched, but listened to. See, back in that day, it was just cassettes that you listen to cassettes to learn and watch VHS tapes, and so I know Larry had cassettes also, but yeah, Steve came out yesterday and said, influence, and Dan Whitmus influence, Al Morris influenced. I mean, he even influenced other call companies. So, I mean, Rocky was the inventor of the raised angle pallet plate call, but Wayne was the one that really developed the dome on reeds, and you see a lot of domes nowadays. So it just, but yeah, that
Thought you did the little wire thing across the top, the thin wire type thing.
well, no, his original dome was a full dome, just like these, but it was a plastic piece.
Oh, the plastic. Okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, and You know what's funny is man, that original domed reed that Carlton came out with, oh man, it sounded good. It was a very, very user friendly call. So, and then had to stop producing because of the lawsuit, and then had to wait for the patent to run out. And man, then as soon as the patent ran out, everybody flooded dome breeds. That's why I made the comment earlier about the carbon fiber, because it's going to be interesting to see who gets the patent first on the carbon fiber, and then start sending out the cease and desist to everybody else, because I know it's coming, because everybody is launching the carbon at the exact same time.
Uh, well, isn't that the kind of way it happened with carbon arrows also? Didn't all the manufacturers start pretty quickly jump on the bandwagon with carbon arrows?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it happens. So, one little advancement and there one little change, and then it's a race. It's just like with the aluminum tubes. So, um, Phelps and Rocky, launched theirs the same time, and Phelps was the one that got to the patent office first, and um, it's a crazy industry. So, okay. Well, we are going to sign off then for tonight. Next one, we will be back to our regularly scheduled program, and we'll keep diving down the rabbit hole of biology. And oh, okay. Hey, quick question. Um, the latest newsletter. Did you guys get it about the next
I'm
challenge?
not getting I'm not getting your newsletter. And I think you mentioned in a previous episode that you put out some challenges for us to work on. I'm
Yep.
not
Oh,
getting those
oh,
challenges.
yeah, the workout one.
See, Jim did get it. Now he knows where I'm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Larry, last month's challenge was a calling challenge. This month's challenge is a workout challenge, and I actually gave some things in there about weighted packs and some different things they could do to start the process. So,
Well, why would I get your invitation to Elk Hunting Academy but not get your challenge emails? You're sending it to the same address, I'm sure.
yeah, and it's coming from the same program too.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
bizarre.
So unless, because I know, because I send samples to both my personal email and my Elk Calling Academy email. On my personal email, it drops into my inbox. On my Elk Calling Academy, it drops into the promotions folder. So, are you using Outlook or Gmail?
Outlook.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know why one would come through and the other wouldn't. So,
I'll check all my spam folders.
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just double check those. So,
Okay. Good deal.
all right, guys. Well, as always, keep calling, keep practicing. More importantly, though, have fun, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks on the next Wapiti Wednesday live Q&A.
Thanks a million. Have a good
Yeah.
week.
See you
Good
guys.
night.